At this stage, I'll invite somebody whom I call a multifaceted person. I don't know 24 घंटे में 24 घंटे ही होते हैं, मगर ये 24 घंटे को 48 घंटे कैसे बना लेते हैं. He is a poet, he is a dramatist, he runs the Kashmir Association, and he has written books. He, according to me, is a script writer, and he is a corporate honcho. So एक आदमी जो नौकरी कर रहा है, किसी कंपनी के लिए काम कर रहा है, वो इतने काम कैसे कर सकता है वो टाइम निकाल के, and that is none other than Shri Vidya Bhushan Dhar, who is based out of Toronto and handles the entire Canadian coordination for GKPD. Over to you, Vidya.
Thank you so much for that generous introduction. Namaskar, Honorable Chief Guest Modi ji and General Dilo Saab, mera karbat pranam aapko. My name is Vidya Bhushan Dhar. I'm the GKPD coordinator for Canada. I'm a passionate Kashmiri activist who believes and lives Kashmir on a daily basis. Kashmir runs like blood in my veins. Besides an IT professional, I'm a poet, writer and a dramaturge, and it was my dream to talk about genocide story. And I did my little effort through what I call the genocide awareness through short stories in Hindi, English and Kashmiri. And also made promo videos on YouTube commemorating certain key events in our exodus. What happened to us on that fateful night? We all know about it. I call myself a foot soldier of the community. I have been a Swayam Sevak of Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangathan from my school days, and a proud Bharati by heart, and Bharat is my Janam Bhumi and Canada is my Karam Bhumi. Proud to be born in Kashmir, rightly called the cradle of civilization, fountainhead of Indian culture and ethos. When genocide was inflicted on us, the world at large remained silent, and it took us 32 long years and an effort by GKPD to bring the story of our genocide to the masses. Kashmiri Pandit, the great historian of Kashmir, wrote Raj Tarangini many years ago, and I call Vivek Agnihotri ji the Kashmiri Pandit of our modern times. He told the world what happened to Kashmiri Pandits in 1990. He told the world that Kashmir was the cradle of civilization. He told the world that Kashmir was the place where 50% of the Vedic work was written. It was a tough task because nobody wanted to basically touch this touchy subject in those days. Many films were made by veteran actors or I can say directors, and all those films actually they glorified and justified militancy. And the last film which was made, it was basically rubbing salt on our wounds by a very famous producer and director. So our story remained untold for 32 long years. So being the GKPD coordinator for Canada, I got a call from Dr. Surinder Kaur from Houston that we are having a session with the I Am Buddha Foundation in New Jersey, and I was invited to that. So I met around 300 activists and actual families of the victims who basically narrated their stories to the I Am Buddha Foundation. Vivek Agnihotri ji and Pallavi Joshi ji were there. They listened to us, and everything was documented and filmed, so that at large, when the film will be actually produced, and we knew it, that there will be certain forces which will tell the world that this is a propaganda or it's a falsehood. And we had all the documentary evidences that this film is actually based on facts, and not a single line or an incident is an imagination or a fickle imagination. So the film took 4 years in research, as is the trademark of Vivek Agnihotri ji, that he makes films based on research. Tashkent Files is one glorious example, and Kashmir Files was created. And when it was finally launched in Canada, and you'll be surprised that probably we also had a hunch that this film will create history, but the producers were not so confident about it. So Canada, a country like Canada, such a large country with around 35 million people, only one cinema hall, the movie was launched. And when we talked to the cinema hall owners, it was just a small cinema hall around 50 kilometers from my home. even the cinema hall owners didn't know anything about it. So it took us concentrated efforts to basically tell them that it's a movie and we want to basically talk about it and we should basically have it in more cinema halls. But nothing happened for the first 1 week. And then we, as GKPD and many other Hindu organizations and many other Indian organizations like Vishwa Hindu Parishad, which got together, we had Canada Hindu Foundation, we had Kashmir Overseas Association of Canada, we had ICKF, Indo-Canadian Kashmir Forum, all these organizations put together hands and we had volunteers on the ground which talked about the film to many people around. And we had an apprehension because Canada has a very political turmoil these days. It is in the hands of radicals and in Khalistani elements. And we were apprehensive about the fact that when this movie will be actually launched, this may be hijacked and this movie may be banned for whatever reasons. You know, there is like, you know, a cabal has been working behind the scene to make sure that our story is not told to the world. So what we did, we together pooled in money and booked around 16 shows and then we invited people to those shows and you will be surprised that it was such an, you know, an effort. It became a moment. We had TV shows, we had Facebook Lives and people came forward and they contributed towards the, you know, the buying the film shows and you will be surprised that I got a call from a theatre in Montreal that he communicated with me that there are people calling me about this film and why this film is not being shown in Montreal, a place in Canada. And we made concentrated efforts. We were in regular touch with the screening committee of the Kashmir Files. And eventually, you'll be all happy to know that this film ran for more than 1 month in that cinema hall and close to, Canada is a very small population, close to 20 to 30,000 people watched this film in Toronto area alone. And this was a great success. I personally watched this film 3 times. I knew about, I mean, being a Kashmiri Pandit who witnessed the 19th January Exodus Day, I could not control my tears. And there was sobs, people were hysterically crying in the cinema hall. I mean, irrespective of, like, you know, even there were Jewish people who could connect with the film and our pain. And I remember a young Jewish boy who belongs to a family who survived the Holocaust in those days. He came forward, hugged me and said that we didn't know about this story. So similar reaction was coming from a lot of other people, Indians, Jamaicans, because Canada is a melting pot of many communities around the world. And you would be surprised, even many Pakistanis came forward and you know, showed their solidarity about this, that it, you know, they didn't know that their own country was hand in gloves with the militants and, you know, who inflicted such terror, such mayhem, such rape, such arson, and you know, forced an entire community from their homes and you know, huts. So the overall reaction within the community was fantastic. Eventually, every small city, the movie was filmed. We were available on a beck and call from the people that we want to have this film in this city. We made arrangements with the producers, and the movie was shown in even smaller cities. I believe still the movie is running in some of the smaller theaters. So this film has created what I call it, transcended the pain from Kashmiri hearts, Kashmiri Hindu hearts, to every heart which is human in nature. The film itself basically galvanized the Hindus that if it could happen to Kashmiri Hindus in 1990, 30 years back in a social democratic Republic of India, with a Hindu majority, it can happen to them anywhere in the country. So it has created an awareness moment. The film, I don't call it a film anymore, I call it a moment. And I thank Vivek Agnihotri ji for making this magnum opus for us. The world is talking about it. Now what is the way forward as a global Kashmiri Pandit Diaspora coordinator in Canada? We want to take this film to every home in Canada. We want to show these films in temples. We want to show these films in community halls. We want to show this film in every university so that everybody knows what happened to us. And so that it doesn't happen to anybody else in the world, irrespective of which color, race or gender they are, or any country they are. So we have a lot of work on our hands in future that we have to. Now the film has come, it has become a success, people talked about it. And if we do not work hard on it, you know, and take it to the next level and beyond, people may forget about it. So we have basically now talked about this film. Now the film has basically told the whole world what happened to Kashmiri Hindus and what is the way forward. We want to return back to our homes. So we want to basically urge the government of India to make arrangements because the awareness is already there, so they had to make arrangements for us to go back. And whatever support they need from our community in Canada, we are there for them. And at the end, I would also like to thank everybody here who came and gave us support. And I want to thank the chief guest and the guest of honor for being here. Thank you so much. We want your blessings to make this film a moment, continued moment, so that nobody forgets about it. Because somebody said that if people do not talk about the history, they become history. So we need to learn from our history. Whatever mistakes were done in Kashmir for the last so many years, we should not repeat it in the other parts of the country. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, Vidya ji. The kind of efforts which have gone behind making it a success and the plans which are there are very clearly visible here. Next, I'll request, we are running behind schedule also. We'll request the gentleman who's supposedly the IT expert of GKPD, incidentally is IT